What's up, deep thinkers? It's Robert from Existence First. Today I'm going to talk about an anger management technique. The technique is very simple, and it's going to sound silly how simple it is, okay? But there's some explanation that I'll give afterwards that will shed some light on the issue. Okay, the technique is simple. It's simply distracting yourself. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, if something is angering you, sometimes there's a temptation to put more energy into that. And when I say energy, that also takes the form of attention, because as Tony Robbins says, where attention goes, energy flows. So the last thing you want to do is put more energy into it. There's a very good experiment done. I remember this from psychology class, where these researchers had two different groups of people. Okay, they had both groups think of a situation that made them very angry. Okay, so both groups got angry. One group was given a hammer and some nails and was told to hammer the nails into the board to get their anger out. And the other group was told to just sit there and, I don't know, think about something else or just do nothing, right? At the end of the experiment, the hammer group actually was angrier than the other group. Okay, they had more anger. And so clearly that was evidence against this theory, right? This theory of sometimes it's called catharsis, of releasing or letting it out, okay? Now, is it letting it out, is that good? I don't know. I mean, it probably gives a little bit of temporary boost. Like, let's say you let it out and then somebody validates you, then maybe that validation gives you a little bit of dopamine boost, and so now you're a little happier, okay? Maybe that's what's going on. But what really I think needs to happen is there needs to be a shift. That dopamine boost can be accomplished by other means, right? You can just change the subject and start paying attention to something that does excite you, and that's exactly what happened to me this week. I was angry at a situation, but I was able to overcome it because I quickly shifted. I was so happy about this other thing that's going well in my life that I kind of shifted my attention, and boom, it took off, okay? Similar example, one time I was skateboarding, and this was back when I lived in Chicago in my late teens, and I was at the skate park, and this kid, so angry, right? Had his board, and he was about to throw it on the ground, which is very common when you can't land a trick. So he was about to throw it on the ground. At that moment, as he was like yelling, he was lifting his board up, right ready to slam it. At that moment, I had just fallen, and my board had shot away and rode all the way right up to him. But my board was rolling straight up to him, right? And he saw that, so he took his foot. He stopped my board from moving. He picked it up. He handed me the board, and I said thank you. And I walked away. And as I was walking away, he grabbed his board. He was like, almost as if he was thinking, like, where was I? Oh yeah. And he goes up to slam the board again, and he's like, whatever. And then he just started skating again. All of that energy was lost. Now, how did that happen? Because when my board rolled up to him, he engaged in a helping behavior. That helping behavior rewarded him. I said thank you, gratitude, boom, dopamine boost. Now he's totally changed in frequency. Someone just expressed gratitude towards him. He did a good deed. That's a complete change in frequency. So we need to start solving these psychological problems from the level of frequency, not from this, silly traditional self-help, superficial level. No, this is at the deep level. What is going on physiologically? He's changed his frequency, okay? This leads to another question, which is, what is the purpose of anger? Okay, in the context of evolution, why was this useful? The question that we need to ask is, the question we have to ask of all emotions is, in the course of evolution, this anger, presumably, this emotion of anger was useful to the survival of some of our ancestors, and that's why we still have it today. So the question is, in what ways could it have been useful? I can tell you one way. One way is if you're being taken advantage of, or you're being threatened, and you can summon up this emotion of anger, whether it's towards another animal that's threatening your survival, or another person that's trying to take advantage of you and cheat you out of money or whatever, resources. If you can be angry, that will cause them to back off a little bit, and the chances of your survival is greater. Imagine somebody that had no anger mechanism. Somebody said, "Hey, can I have $1? Yeah, let me have $1. Let me have $1." Every day they take your money, or they take whatever, right? In context, let's talk about prehistoric times, long millions of years ago. If this is happening, you're giving, hey, give your fruits and your fruits and vegetables and nuts or whatever. Like, give your food, give your food. That person's gonna die. Like, there needs to be a point where they get angry that, hey, no, this is mine. Like, go find your own fruits, right? So that's kind of how I think about these emotions. Now, if that's the case, then we got to solve it from the same angle. So we got to solve it with evolution. Gratitude and reciprocity, that little exchange there, that evolution has wired us to be happy when we help people, and when other people express gratitude towards us. So that's why that example worked. Okay, so what's the main lesson here today? We need to be pulled away from whatever topic or subject is angering us. Okay, and why do I say pulled away? Right. Well, you can say that in a way it's a distraction, right? Distraction. And if you look up the root words of distraction, it comes from two Latin root words: dis, which means apart, so dis, and trahere, which is to draw, or to pull away from. So basically to pull apart. So you're taking your mind, you're pulling it apart from whatever is the trigger. That reminds me of, you see these fights happen, whether it's on the schoolyard or in the UFC or whatever, and you see two guys yelling at each other about to fight, and you see their bodyguards or whatever, or the referees, trying to separate them, right? Trying to distract, to pull apart, right? To distract them, right? So, the same thing we need to do with our minds. If there's a topic that keeps angering us, it deserves no more attention. Our attention needs to go into something that's going to release dopamine. That's the key there. I'm glad that I came upon it. That's the key. Is this topic that you're putting your attention on, is it causing a dopamine release? If not, you need to shift it to a topic that does. And the minute you do that, then it will feel better. It's almost like watching TV, and then it's like, if you're watching a show that's making you angry, or yeah, figuratively speaking, you can increase the volume. That would be putting more attention on it. You just increase the volume, and then you just get angrier and angrier. Or you hit the channel button, you change the channel, because the minute you change the channel, and that image that's triggering you is no longer on the screen, things are going to be different, guaranteed. Okay, but if you're going to keep talking about it for hours and hours and hours, then you're holding that image in your mind still. All right, there's a lot of lessons into the mind, but yeah, last but not least, make sure you follow all the social media, because I post some really good stuff on there: Facebook, Instagram, all of that stuff. So, okay, see you in the next one. Think deeply and put your existence first.